setting all this up. So this is obviously my house. Let's see here. So this is the room. So yeah, this is what it takes to film one of these. There's my fingers. All right, cool. Spotlight, 2 cam, and then coffee, obviously. Oh yeah, my dogs. There's that. As we're filming. So welcome to reality. So let's talk about it, right? We've got several things we're going to talk about. We're going to break this up into several different episodes, if that makes sense, because I got a lot to talk about, and I don't want to feel like I've got to rush through everything. So I think we got 4 topics there's multiple topics within each one, but the first one we're talking about is me getting first place at Last Resort Guns last week. First place overall, not first place in limited optics, first place overall. And I gotta be honest, it was awesome. I think I was on 2 stages in, and a pal was like, I think you're gonna win tonight. And I said, I am gonna win tonight. 100%, and then walked away, just cold stare, like locked in. You know how good that feels? You do know how good that feels. Anybody that's won their class or overall, you know how good that feels. Why was I so confident in saying, yes, I'm going to take first? Well, because I was confident. I knew that we had some great competitors that day, and I saw how they were performing. And I had just recently gotten off of a class with Lee Henderson where I was working so many beautiful things that he brought to my attention. Which we'll get into that later, but it just focusing on that, making sure my mind was connected with my action. And a lot of that is weird. You guys don't get to see the beautiful face I make when I'm tense and trying to crush through a stage. It's ugly. And all I'm trying to say is that I relax my face. If it's that sounds so stupid, but it works for me. That's one of the cues that works for me. Relaxing my face, and all tension kind of releases down to my feet, and then I can just think clearly. It's like, okay, come into it, there's no tension here, and it releases tension in my shoulders, neck, and so on. So what did I focus on, right? Like they say, you can only have one conscious thought through a stage. What did I focus on? I focused on fundamentals. That's it, fundamentals. That was the only word that I said, fundamentals. And I know that is one thought, but it covers so much category. And it was like, focus on fundamentals. It was very much dialed in match mode. And I still don't truly understand the definition of each different stage of speed mode, match mode, or whatever mode. I ain't got a selector switch on my back. All I know is that in my mind, release tension, execute fundamentals. And that's all that I did. And it was awesome. You know, there were a few bobbles, there were a few things, but a lot of the takeaways were, you know, don't be in a place to where you're moving and not shooting. And I know, once again, that's a very basic principle. A lot of you guys know that. And a lot of guys in the stages that I've worked, Maurice, Mo, he's a local guy here in town. And that every time I see him creating a stage plan, and same with Scooter, William Fletcher, you know, if you're not shooting, why are you not shooting? And that's such an awesome, powerful question. And so just putting those things together as you're doing a stage plan. I also want to mention it was an indoor match, so you know that those are definitely a lot faster. But that transitioned into my Talladega match. I got, I have to look it back up, but I was in the top 20. I think I was 19th. Yeah, I was 19th in combined, so overall, which is crazy. Like, y'all, that's crazy for me. That's crazy. Top 20 at my hardest match of the month, 100%. And then I got 4th in limited optics. Thank you, coffee. That's a massive win. I mean, huge for me. The confidence boost, the imprint you put on yourself as a competitor, it just all aligned. And then after that match, I saw the most amazing deal on a CZ Shadow 2, which we'll get into later, and then immediately transition into that. So let's talk about first place, right? So at Wednesday's match, indoor match, Last Resort Guns, I performed really well. But my classifiers were horrible, right? Like they were an 03 and an 06 classifier. The 03, I actually surprisingly did okay for being an 03. I got 65.14%. So not horrible for me, but I was looking closer to the 70 to 72 range would have been ideal. And then Fluffy's Revenge 0605, that was just a nice low 46.79 C. Now, I've had conversations with Lee Henderson about this a little bit, and you know, I don't, in video production, right? So like we hold on to raw files for up to 2 years and then they're deleted. Why is that? Because they're not relevant anymore. They don't serve a lot of folks unless it's a historical project that we're documenting for years. Why are classifiers still in existence that don't make sense anymore? What was the last match that you were in where you stood still and shot the entire stage? Right? I know I could imagine that this topic is maybe ruffling feathers, or maybe there's guys like saying, yeah, let's go. It seems to be a dramatic difference between the two. I understand why classifiers exist. I understand the purpose of them. I completely support classifiers. It's not anything like that. It's just, let's maybe use classifiers that work with the style of shooting that the sport is at the time, or at least within a decent amount of time. 2003? Bro, why? Why does that classifier still exist? It doesn't make any sense. It's completely outdated. From my perspective, and this is Matt Pittman's world opinion here, but classifiers should be cut out. I think it should only be the last 3 years of classifiers that you're still actively running within a match. And I think that they should be relevant to the style of match that you're shooting. Why do I say that? So on my match performance is significantly increasing every single match, whether it's USPSA or PCSL. I'm inching up there every single match. But my classifiers are staying mid to low unless it's one that's a newer one. And then I typically do better in like 79%, 75%, 84%. That's a direct reflection on where the sport is today. Is this video going to change anything? No, it's not going to change anything. But it would be nice if someone out there were in the USPSA arena that could make those decisions, say, okay, well, yeah, let's cut those. Or maybe I want to say explain why they still exist. I don't know. And why is it frustrating? Am I a professional athlete? No, I'm not a professional athlete. But I would like to compete in a classification that makes sense to what I'm shooting in. And some of those older ones, a large majority of the older ones, don't, not whatsoever. Standing and shooting classifiers should go. They should have been gone a long time ago. No stage you ever shoot is standing and shooting. So why is that a part of your classification? Okay, dead horse, done. I'm going to drink from my rainbow mug. Shout out to my kids. This is my favorite mug on the planet. What else? I think that's it. I think I'm just pumped on getting first. That was a huge motivator. I'm excited for This week's match at Last Resort Guns, I'm actually directing that race. Really excited and honored to be able to do that. So I'll be stage planning today, building out those stages on kind of what I want to accomplish within a very confined amount of space. So thanks for following along on Pit Factor. I'm Matt Pittman. Thanks for following along on Pit Factor.